Hi. That's basically the film. The Green Knight is a brand new Arthurian fantasy adventure film from A24 directed by David Lowery, the mind behind 2017's A Ghost Story, which I loved. The first thought I had when I saw the trailer for this film was that it looks like an Arthurian legend told by Denis Villeneuve. I wasn't totally wrong, but after watching the film, I think it's just what happens when David Lowery decides to talk metaphors, as he always does. For those of you unaware, the film is based on a very famous late 14th century verse narrative called Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. Sir Gawain is a knight of King Arthur's Round Table who gets challenged one day from a mysterious green knight who's very green to strike the knight once with his axe, and whatever he gives, he'll get it returned in a year and a day time. As any sensible knight would do, Gawain strikes the green knight's head and beheads him so that, he would die. But because he's green, I suppose, the Green Knight stands up and yells 1 year hence and horses his way out. The majority of the film's runtime is dedicated not to Gawain's preparation, but to his journey to the place of confrontation where the promised strike will be returned. This doesn't take away from the character development side of things, as Dev Patel, who plays Sir Gawain, is amazing as always in communicating and evolving the character on screen with his acting, and of course because David Lowery's writing is perfectly balanced as well. As the setting of the story values honor more than anything, all the events that take place on his way to meeting the Green Knight revolves around this idea where Gawain has to decide whether to act honorably or to act in a way that would benefit his position. This was fun to watch as the events then gained more weight and felt more consequential instead of feeling pointless and unrelated to the arc of the film. Having said that, it is true that the film relies heavily on metaphors and imageries, and the trailer does make it seem a bit more conventionally epic than it actually is. So the second act of the film, which is the majority of the film unfortunately, may come off as a bit slow or overly confusing for those unfamiliar with the original tale or David Lowery's style in general. Before I get to some spoiler-related stuff, I must say that regardless of anything, the cinematography and the score of this film were some of the best stuff I've seen all year. Especially the score. I loved the score for this film. I believe it was done by Daniel Hart, who also did the score for A Ghost Story, and it weirdly reminded me of the score in Ari Aster's Midsommar. I may be tripping here, but I swear that's how it felt on more than a few occasions. And that's to say that the score not only was beautiful, but also made the scenes that needed to feel creepy and ominous very creepy and ominous. Don't go in and listen to the music first if you haven't watched the film, as they're definitely integrated into the film and play a big part of the whole experience. Now, there's one thing I must say about the film and what I think will divide the audience the most, but unfortunately it's a heavy spoiler, so if you haven't seen the film, skip to this mark. 3, 2, 1, spoiler starts. The last 15 minutes of this film was what made the final score to be bumped up from a 6.5 to an easy 8.5 for me. It was probably my favorite part of the film, where Sir Gawain finally meets the Green Knight and runs off, lives his life, gets old, and finally removes the green girdle that's been protecting him all this year, and his head just falls off. That whole sequence, accompanied with the intense and beautiful score I talked about, and the wonderful cinematography, it was poetry on screen. I do think that when the film then cuts back to Sir Gawain and it reveals to the audience that this was his imagination, and he takes off his girdle right there, prompting the Green Knight to let him go, saying, "With your head off you go," or some insane wordplay in that nature, it's going to turn a lot of people off. For me, it didn't. The last few seconds didn't take away from the last 15 minutes, and it actually just made things bizarrely more poetic. But I literally heard people swearing in my theater when that ending happened, so I can see many others doing the same. Also, the fox wasn't his sidekick. That hurt my feelings. I shouldn't have watched the trailer. So what do I say to those wishing to watch the film? If you're into the whole A24 aesthetic, slow-paced, Lowery-esque films and care less about coherence and satisfying actions, this film is definitely for you. If you had no fucking clue what I just said, it probably isn't for you. But To paraphrase, if you're expecting an action-filled, straightforward fantasy adventure film with some pretty scenes scattered about, you might find yourself yawning a few times, scratching your head a few more, and eventually getting mad by the end. But hey, you might still love it, that's just the general idea. Alright, so let me know what you thought of the film if you've seen it. If you haven't, do you think you'll enjoy it? And what's your favorite David Larry film? I for sure loved it, though I think I'll have to watch it again. Things might change by then. Yeah, that's the kind of film we're talking about. But anyhow, thanks for watching, and until next time, that's it for me.